Shalom, Kal Halayim, La Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rachaha Kurash. Double honors to the apostles of GMS, Ruwell, who I learned this truth from, and salutations and blessings to you hopeful elect, you 144,001/3. Alright, you women out there that are learning, alright, Shalom. This is gonna deal with more in-depth wickedness of this kingdom. I was just sitting here and earnestly hoping that the spirit hits me, and then I start typing things, and the spirit showed me things. So I found this book. All right, it's called Deeper Insights into the Illuminati Formula by Fritz Springmeier and Cisco Wheeler. All right, and I'm gonna start off with the scripture first. Okay, this is Ephesians 6:10 in the NLT. It says, a final word: be strong in the Lord and in his mighty power. Put on all of God's armor, so that you will be able to stand firm against all strategies of the devil. For we are not fighting against flesh and blood enemies, but against evil rulers and authorities of the unseen world, against mighty powers in this dark world, and against evil spirits in the heavenly places. Therefore, put on every piece of God's armor, so you will be able to resist the enemy in the time of evil. Then after the battle, you will be standing firm. And best believe this is a very dark and gloomy world. Okay, so what I'm gonna go into pretty much today is how they start trauma programming on children. To get a child to be a subservient slave, pretty much an MK Ultra slave, they gotta start young, so they do start young. All right, so this is page 32. I hope you can see. It says daily abuse works best for programming. It says to ensure that the programming and abuse stays hidden from even the slave is given daily traumas as a child to keep them disassociative. The Illuminati's programmers get the cooperation of a vast network of abusers who traumatize the children who are being programmed. One of the Illuminati's fronts is the Catholic Church, which the Jesuits manage for the Illuminati. Under the cover of religious retreats and their religious image, many Catholic clergymen have been participants in the vast trauma network, actively creating trauma-based, mind-controlled slaves. The problem is exposing this is that first the people who are being traumatized have trust in the clergymen who are doing the traumas. Second, if the victims or parents of the victims suspect anything, they usually go to the church officials rather than the police in order to clear up the problem, yet protect the church. Additionally, in most cases, both the corrupt religious system working behind the corrupt police and judicial system maneuver to protect the abuser and to further victimize the mind control victim and anyone coming to the person's rescue. The following are but a few examples of a widespread network of secret abuse that will not be uncovered because the system to catch abusers has long ago been corrupted and infiltrated and controlled by mind-controlled slaves, as well as by blackmailed or bribed dirty persons of authority. Roger Trott, a Catholic priest in Delamont, Pennsylvania, convicted of molesting 12 boys, got a suspended sentence by the judge. Can you believe such unbelievable leniency? Father John Engbers, 1922, in Holland, Catholic pastor at Leroy outside of Lafayette, LA, he babysat for a family in which he sexually molested their children, their 5 daughters. He was treated as a member of this family, and the mother, who was of Amur, Indian descent, was very close worshipped, according to one daughter, to Father John. She spent long hours alone with him. He would tell the victims that they were his puppet like Pinocchio. He molested some of the girls almost every day and had them under his control enough that they returned even when they were living at a distance from him. He had what appeared to be a hypnotic type spell over them. Father John Engbers, ain't no damn father, piece of shit. John Engbers molested many children during his years as a Louisiana priest. Until he fled in 1985, he had lots of money to spend. The Catholic Church had known he was molesting children clear back in 1952 when some parents complained. The Catholic hierarchy helped him escape back to Holland in mid-1985 when reports and lawsuits over how he sexually molested children came out. The case of John Egbers has all the earmarks of a participant in the Daily Monarch mind-controlled abuse given to children. Dennis de la Malva, a Pennsylvania Catholic priest who molested boys and the judicial system protected him from persecution. The judge, a Catholic, ordered the records of this pedophilia priest sealed. And the Catholic Church, which knew of his deviant behavior, continued to give him a position of authority. It says, Michael Peterson, a child molesting priest who was a drug addict and a homosexual, was one of the Catholic hierarchy's main men involved with investigation of pedophilia, who died of AIDS, and his rich sidekick Stephen B.C. Johnson II, who administered a Catholic facility near Boston, Mass. Michael Peterson lived a rich lifestyle in Marcelin and later Suitland, next to St. Luke, and told people that he was not worried about anyone because he had the goods on them to force them to comply. Michael Peterson's St. Luke was used by the Catholic Church to receive many priests that were caught doing pedophilia. In the first 6 years, St. Luke's claimed to have cured 55 child molesting priests. Monsignor William A. Kraft, born Rochester, New York, Knight of the Holy Sepulchre, was pastor of St. Therese during the 60s, and by 1978, the rich pastor of St. Charles Borromeo, San Diego. His father was a chief executive with Eastman Kodak. Kraft's sexual molestation of children have all the hallmarks of being a monarch mind control abuser. He was protected by the Catholic hierarchy and the system from persecution for molestation of children. When children are being tortured and traumatized by persons who are respected in society, and when these children see the police and judges protect these people, do you see why this further traumatizes them and convinces them that there is no hope? Once they lose hope of outside help, their minds are further propelled to obey the commands of, continue with the picture below. It says the text continues under the girl in the left upper corner. So it said to obey the commands of their abusers. People who do not understand the depth of the traumas think these victims of mind control should be able to verbalize their slavery and abuse. The victims have been stripped of this ability. The only hope they see is to survive the sadistic expectations of the monsters who own them. The abuse that comes from parents, police, politicians, and ministers makes the victim feel like there is no one safe to run to. The ongoing secret abuse keeps the child very disassociative. We are discussing general abuse. Later, this chapter will cover some specific programming traumas. What the programmers look for when traumatizing. This page's collage shows a child in the upper right who has reached a state of programming compliance from the trauma. The head is held limp, or the head is held limp. The eyes are glossy, the hands are clasped in submission. The photo just to its left shows a child who has submitted to puppet programming. The hips are disjointed, the hands are to the side in a military fist, and the child is in a submissive puppet stance. This child's appearance is the condition where the programmers try to get a child. The photo of the child clapping shows a slow robotic clap due to the puppet training. The child in these photos has in fact showed every indication of having received total mind control and has been under the care of Roman Catholics. Now I'm going to jump down. Hold on. I'm going to go to This book deals with a lot of things with the drugs as well, but I'm gonna go to this demon Walt Disney, right here. I hope others can see it this way. Maybe if you flip your phone, just so you could actually see the words. So one of the greatest deceptions of all time, Disney. For years, I have heard many Americans say that something is terribly wrong in this country and that things are going to pot, and yet Americans can't put their finger on what exactly is wrong. When I first began to receive reports from victims of Illuminati mind control about Disney's involvement in their mind control, I kept an open ear, but I wanted some tangible proof. After investigating for myself, there is now no doubt in my mind that Disney, the man, the movies, and the entertainment parks has been a major contributor to the demise of America while maintaining a very well constructed front of wholesomeness. Okay? Let me jump down. Here, this is a good point. Among the visitors to Disneyland have been all the American presidents from Eisenhower to Clinton, over a dozen kings and queens, as well as Emperor Akihito of Japan, Anwar Sadat, and Robert Kennedy, who rode the Matterhorn with astronaut John Glenn. Both Denmark's and Belgium's kings, who are in the Illuminati, visited, as well as the dictators of Indonesia, the Shah of Iran, and the Ceausescu of Romania. Organizations that have been actively working for a New World Order for many years gave big awards to Walt Disney in his early years, such as the B'nai B'rith Man of the Year Award to Walt and the Chamber of Commerce. In 1936, Walt was given the Chamber of Commerce's annual Outstanding Young Man Award. The establishments, Yale and Harvard universities, gave him honorary degrees. Walt Disney biographer Leonard Mosley, who researched Walt Disney for years, as well as writing books on the DuPonts, the Dooley brothers, and the Hirohito, wrote in his book on Walt Disney, the studio publicity machines in the film colony had, as usual, gone out of the way to try to persuade me as a writer for a powerfully influential British newspaper that this was a city of lawless gods and goddesses full of clean living, sanitized stars. It was even more of a deodorized world at the Walt Disney Studio, where the publicity men insisted their boss was faultless, never drank too much, never used a swear word, never lost his temper, never quarreled with his wife or family, never let down a friend, and woe betide anyone who tried to suggest otherwise. Members of the resident foreign and local press risked their jobs if they dared to write stories and inferring that Walt Disney would be domineering, implacable, and unforgiving. The Disney flacks were capable of exerting heavy pressure on editors and proprietors, or through their advertising pages, against anyone who inferred Walt Disney's was not the epitome of well-scrubbed and benevolent perfection. Walt Disney is the epitome of Illuminati abilities to create images. They have created great images for things. Disney included Walt Disney movies and Disney's amusement parks. In some cases, these things have been overrated, and other instances, the sinister side to them has been carefully hidden. In order to make movies that contain the typical smut of Hollywood sex and violence, Disney did a sleight of hand and created subsidiaries which Disney runs, which has allowed them to keep their good image, but they also never showed the public the hardcore porn that was made for years in secrecy for the elite. Behind Disney's good front lies hard porn, snuff films, white slavery, Illuminati mind control, and the seduction of several generations into witchcraft. Disney's involvement in these kinds of things will be explained in this chapter. Nobody has sold America witchcraft as well as the Disney brothers. Movie after movie has cleverly brought the occult into the warp and woof of American thought, all under the disguise of entertainment. For instance, it was Disney that brought us cannibalism and told us that it was a triumph of the human spirit. A direct quote from Disney's touchstone producer Robert Watts concerning Disney's movie Alive, featuring survivors of an airplane crash who turned to cannibalism. Under the disguise of entertainment and showing us how triumphant the human spirit was, they subtly promoted cannibalism. Mickey Mouse plays a leading role in The Sorcerer's Apprentice, and yet, when this author has suggested that Disney movies aren't wholesome, many Christian parents come unglued and have gotten angry with this author. The deceptive image that Disney movies are wholesome is a triumph in Illuminati deception. Parents would be surprised what is slipped into cartoons. In Disney's The Little Mermaid, the castles are male sexual organs. In one cartoon, Mighty Mouse is shown without comment clearly snorting cocaine. Walt Disney's studio chairman Joe Roth is in charge of Walt Disney as well as subsidiaries Touchstone, Miramax, and Hollywood Pictures, which were all created to camouflage the Disney production of adult films. Disney operates in a clandestine manner regarding the promotion, distribution, and rating of the films produced by their subsidiaries. Roth oversaw Disney's subsidiaries Hollywood Pictures Evita Film. Evita has its main star Material Girl, Madonna. Madonna is in reality a mind-controlled slave who has appeared in numerous underground porn and ritual porn movies. This author has an underground catalog from a porn business that has recently changed its location of business. The catalog offered a film of Madonna performing an actual blood sacrifice. She also was the main actress in Disney's Dick Tracy film, which is reported to be used for mind control. During an Arsenio Hall show, Madonna, who as a guest acted disassociative, was picked up by the cameras during the show kissing her Baphomet ring. Disney controls the products that are associated with the movies of their subsidiaries. In Evita's case, they are marketing hats and other items as just one more of Disney's countless artificially generated consumerism campaigns. In Ruth Stein's interview of Madonna, Madonna appeared bored with plugging Disney's consumer products. When asked about the tango dresses and hats inspired by Evita that popped up in the store after the film, Madonna said, "Believe me, I have nothing to do with it. Disney's pushing the whole thing." Right? And that's, that's self-explanatory, but going into Disney itself, right, there's a lot of wickedness, man, that they have committed, so let me just skip down. So there's a lot of madness. Hold on 1 second. Okay, let me go here. This is silence programming traumas to teach silence. One way to teach silence is to repeatedly kill persons of all ages in front of the person being programmed, while telling the mind control victim that the people who are being sadistically killed because they talked. However, the no talk lesson will be repeated and embedded in many different fashions for Illuminati mind control slaves. Perhaps a favorite Illuminati method is to expose the victim to watching dental tortures. The viewing can be reinforced by subjecting the victim to some dental tortures themselves. Right? And these devils, man, look, when we talk about them knowing about the flesh and the mind, and let me get this actually in the scripture. Esau research all these shits, how to do these things, man. This is Ecclesiasticus 22:19. He that pricketh the eye will make tears to fall, and he that pricketh the heart maketh it to show her knowledge. which the heart we know is in the Hebrew is lab, which means mind. So he pricks that mind, and he's knowing all these things, man, how the mind works and operates, and what happens when you do this, and how do you get the person to do that, and all this shit, right? So it says, then dental tortures are done to the victim, and the intense jaw pain of the torture is linked to tripping the no-talk programming. If the person talks, their jaw hurts, and they may pull up the disassociated feelings of seeing a person lose their tongue. This then will be further backed up by training an alter to carry out Russian roulette if the system talks, and training numerous other alters, other types of suicide if the system talks. In other words, many backup programs mutually support each other in overkill. Considering that dental torture is used for no-talk programming, it was with many. Slacky, hold on. Considering that dental torture is used for no-talk programming, it was with dismay that this author discovered that virtual IOCO is now making virtual reality eyeglasses for dental work. Seashells and other images are linked to the concept of no-talk via programming laid in using methods described elsewhere. Another no-talk program is the Don't Tell Me telephone no-talk programming. Alright, now let's go here. Alright, so it says trauma to isolate the victim. Right, it says a birthday party will be given for the victim. The birthday cake will contain a bean somewhere. It is announced that whoever gets the bean will get a surprise. When someone gets the bean, the mind control victim finds out that the surprise is that they must take the life of the child who has found the bean. This programming trauma is part of a series of traumas designed to make deeper alters afraid of accepting any gifts from outsiders. The deeper alters are programmed that gifts always come with a sacrifice. Gifts always cost something. Nothing comes free. Sever all ties. Have no friends are the programming messages. In reality, what Satan is doing with this trauma on a spiritual level is what the British Empire did with small countries. The British would warn small countries, you are in danger. We will protect you. The spirit of fear says gifts are dangerous. Let me, the spirit of fear, protect you. When the British moved into small countries like this, they called them protectorates, and then they took over. The spirit of fear, pretending to protect the victim, takes over, and the victim develops a deep-seated, free-floating phobias towards gifts from anyone. What pretends to protect actually ends up controlling and enslaving. As the reader treks through this book, he or she will encounter places where the other traumas are discussed, such as tortures via implants and tortures via rides in amusement parks, and spinning traumas during the structuring for creating alter families from an altar. Finally, the waves of fear created by repeated traumas layer in spirits of fear, which form a dark spiritual foundation. Now, this is Vice President Al Gore and his wife. Halloween photo. Alright. Now it says above, photographic evidence of mind control dehumanization. Now this was a wrestler, a manager. You can see in the back, and then that's a ring right there. One of her wrestlers, Macho King Savage, claims his favorite thing to say is, "You'll bow before the kingdom of madness." And that's yeah, self-explanatory.